Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am NIK NIKAM. In this presentation, we are going to look at how we can apply some of the principles used in portrait photography studio and use them in a regular everyday activity, whether you're at evening events, gala, or a business meeting, and create almost portrait-like pictures. Typically in a studio, you have a backdrop. Mostly it's dull. I think I have another picture like that I will show you later on. And I'm using this model to show you how different lenses, the kit lens, and of course I also have a prime lens, which I'm going to show as what the difference it makes. So you have a model here, put it on a chair, and you can stand anywhere from 10 feet to 3 feet and see which settings work best and use that in real life situations so that you can create classic portrait like pictures. So let us look at some examples here. And here is one which was taken using first of all, I have Nikon 750 camera with a kit lens 24 to 120 f4.0. My ISO was set to 200 and the shutter speed was set to like 125 to 160, and it was changed at different and the whole flash was set to automatic. And there were times when the flash was directly in front with this little white reflector, with the white reflector reflecting the light, and at times I turn the flash to the left and at times I turn the flash to the right, so the light was not hitting the subject directly, to see the difference. And we will see this in various different pictures. Also I tried some using the flash all the way turned to the back, so all we have an indirect light coming from the ceiling, so it is not directly hitting the subject. So keeping some of these things in mind, let us look at some examples and see what we can learn. Of course, it was manual setting, and here is one exposure at 125 f4.5 focal length. Most of them are focal length 120 maximum because I wanted to get the face as much as possible in the picture. And of course, this was with no flash whatsoever, and the kit lens. All right, let's look at the next example here. What did I change? I dropped the f to 4.0, same exact settings, no flash, ISO 200, and there's a little bit light by dropping f-stop by half its point. And this is like 120 millimeters, now 1/60th of a second. You can see the difference between 1/60th of a second and here this one, which is 1/25th of a second. So by doubling the light exposure, you are already beginning to see the subject. Remember, I have not used flash at this time. All right, so flash didn't come on, and here we have 1/30th of a second. So by just changing the shutter speed, we can make a totally dark object into, a totally dark model into something that is mystical. So this is with no flash. I am standing approximately, I would say maybe 3 to 4 feet from the model. And this is the picture we get, which is not bad. And here is standing like 6 to 8 feet away, but this was at a different time because we have so much daylight here. But I just wanted to see how the setup was, so you have an idea. That's just a little break. When I get tired of camera, I go and try some music. Anyway, let's look at some of these other pictures here. So what is this one? This is before I get to this lens, let me go back to the kit lens I used. And here is a kit lens which I used, and the shutter speed was 1/25 f4.0, 120 ml, and I was standing quite a distance from the model because we have covered so much of the ground here. But look at all this vignetting. So this is okay, and the model is beautifully uniformly lit, and the eyes are sharp, nose is sharp, all the different components of the model are sharp. But we don't have to use all this space because this is dead space. That's one thing we need to keep in mind, because when you try to cut this, the number of pixels get less and less. All right, here what did I do? Here it was 1/25 of a second, f4.0, full 120 millimeter focal length. Now the flash did fire, and maybe I'm getting a little bit closer to the model, because if you see here the size of the model, and if you look at the size of the model, so I'm getting closer and closer to the model. As I get closer and closer to the model, I can see the objects are still sharp, and this is a flash turned towards the model's left side. As you can see, the left side of the face is lit, the right side is sort of darker. So that's how we can create some contrast between left half and the right half by just twisting the flash like this. You twist like 30 degrees to the right, or you twist it to the left, and so you get some darkness on either side. It's amazing. Even though I am only like 3 to 4 feet from the subject, I am hitting the flash directly into the face. It is not making a significant flash burn. I mean, you can say this is a flash burn compared to this area, but since the ISO is set so low, I think we don't see that very well. So this is the beauty of turning the flash to the one side or the other. Let's see this one here. The flash is straight directly onto the face, and this one 1/60th of a second f4 flash did fire, and still kit lens. I'm getting closer and closer to the subject, and as you can see, the light gets a little darker as we move away from the model. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, where were we? Let's see, what is this one? So this is getting very close to the model, and there was dull daylight inside the house. The exposure was 1/25 of a second, f4.5, 120 millimeters, ISO 200. There was no flash, and you can see the skin tone, which is uniformly clear and sharps. And the other thing you want to notice is the eyes are looking a little bit down, and I will show you in the later pictures how the eyes need to be a little bit lifted. I had to lift the chin up so I can see the eyes directly looking into the lens. And here is again, look at the skin tone, it is so clear, and this is all with the kit lens. So here's some brighter ones. See what this one shows. I think basically I'm getting closer and closer. As I get closer and closer to the subject, the amount of light falling on the model is much larger, so the face begins to light up, and also the edges begin to kind of lighten up, but at the same time the skin tone looks quite different here from the skin tone we saw, for example, here. As you can see, this is from the flash did fire here, f.4. Okay, let's see what is this one. Looks pretty bright here. Again, the flash. Again, I am coming closer to the subject, and the beauty of this close-up photography is if the ISO is very low, you can be 3 to 4 feet from the subject and still use the flash, but I won't put it directly onto the face. Maybe flash it up or turn to one angle. This is the flash is directly. It was like this actually. I mean, I never put it like this. I would just keep it straight up, so whatever the light is coming will be reflected off this white sheet, and this, whatever light is going through this white sheet, is all that is falling on the subject, so that that is good enough to give a nice, clear, sharp image. You can see the eye sclera is, the white part is clear, so is the nose. All right, let's get back to the last set of pictures I want to show. For example, this one, this is with a prime lens, 85 millimeters f1.8 prime lens, and I don't know, I had just left the f at 4.0, I didn't change it, and the shutter was 1/60th of a second. You can see what a dramatic difference here, and I'm standing quite a few feet from the subject because we have all this extra background here, but nonetheless the subject is pretty well lit and the edges all look sort of uniform except for this one area here. Okay, so let's see what's going on, and I like this one because the skin tone is so smooth and the eyes are sharp, the nose is sharp, the edges are sort of uniform, and the skin has a single color, and this is 1/20th f4 flash did fire. Let's see something else. I can move on here, and this is now this is set at f1.8, which is the minimum focal length. This is set at 85 millimeters, which has an autofocus feature with 85 millimeters. And how much light we are getting here compared to the kit lens, which was 24 to 120 at f4.0. So here you get a lot more room to play with in terms of shutter speed, in terms of distance, so that you can see what works best. So I would suggest those models are like $30-40. Just buy a model, put them on a like a bar stool in a dark side of the room, and just click your camera every day, 25-30 pictures. You will become a pro, and then it becomes second nature when you are in a real gala or an evening event. Okay, here's one thing I want to show you. I lifted the chin up so you can see the eyes are looking straight into the camera now, and so nicely, and even you can see the hair strands here in the eyebrow. All right, so that is again set prime lens 85 millimeters f1.8, focal length 85 millimeters, and ISO of 200, and the flash did fire. And I'm very like 4 or 5 feet from this model, and here I am just basically 3 feet from the model. I'm 3 feet from the model. Of course, you can see the eyes here, the nose, but there's one issue with this problem. This picture is not focused. Maybe the hand shaking for some reason, because even though the shutter exposure was 1/25th of a second, but if you put them on a tripod, you can put them on a tripod stand. So we're talking about candid photography. So what I would do is, here's a picture which I did. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, you got as good as a portrait photography using a prime lens on the run with no additional lightings needed anywhere, by just setting the f point to like 100 or 125th of a second, f1.8, and of course it has an autofocus, and the flash did fire here. As I said, I usually have the flash set up like this. If I think the light is too much, I can just turn it back, the flash this way, and just it will cut down the flash dramatically, and you can get portrait style pictures in a gala. And when you bring it into Lightroom and adjust the exposure just a little bit and a touch, and you send those pictures to those people, I'm sure you are going to be called in for the next job. Anyway, this is a book I wrote, COVID-19 pandemic. Actually, I wrote this It's published on Amazon.com in December 2020. What I want to show you is, because I am doing it from an angle coming from this side, this part is focused, whereas this part is not focused. And what are we doing? We have an exposure of 125 f1.8, 85 millimeter focal length, and a prime lens 85 millimeters f1.8, because the focal length is so narrow, it focuses one part while the other part becomes, because it is a few inches from this area, it is out of focus or it's diffuse. So that is in a nutshell a quick overview of how to practice studio style photography technique that you can use on the go, like during weddings or during graduations or during receptions, where you can take portrait style photography if you keep some of these simple things in mind. Number one, keep the ISO to 100. Number two, use the flash not directly on the face, but maybe turn it about 30 degrees to the right or the left, so you get some contrast between the left and right side of the face, and move yourself from the subject as needed to either increase the light or reduce the light, and just keep clicking. The more good clicks you have, the more business you get. See you next time. Thank you so much, and please do subscribe to our channel.